Hello, everyone. It's Makeda Valletta. Give me 1 second while I go live on IG. Hey, people. It's Makeda Valletta, live on IG at the Renaissance _Amazon _81, and also live on YouTube at the Renaissance Amazon. I hope you all are doing well today. It's a sad day in the world, a sad day in hip hop. Hearing about Nipsey Hussle, and may he rest in peace. If that's even possible, given how he died and what he left behind. So I think that there's a much deeper discussion that needs to happen around this whole situation. And I think that a lot of people, specifically Black people, are missing. And so I just first want to talk about myself and my background and where I'm coming from before I start to get into these points. So first of all, I was born and raised in Harlem, Washington Heights, right? They filmed Juice in New Jack City in my building, on my block. The opening of Juice, the shots that they have in the opening of that movie is right out of an apartment right above me in my building, okay? I remember seeing them film this stuff when I was a kid. My dad always told me that crack cocaine was invented around the corner for me, okay? So some people said to me, "You're not from the hood?" No, I'm from the hood. You could be from the hood and not of the hood, right? But at the same time, I was raised by a man who was on the front lines of the civil rights movement. So I've talked about how I was raised in a lot of my previous videos, but I know a lot of people don't listen to them. People just like watch me dance. But if you listen to some of my videos, you will know more about what I come from and my standpoint, right? Because some people try to accuse me of hating Black people, yada, yada, yada. No. Nothing is further from the truth. So my father was on the front lines of the civil rights movement. He was a part of the organization that strategically put the Black Panthers together, right? And the Black Panthers did not start in Oakland. They started in Lawrence County. It's not Lawrence County, but it's something like that, Alabama, registering Black people to vote. And overnight, the elected officials in Alabama went from white to Black, right? It wasn't until they got to Oakland where they started to get violent and take up arms. And my dad was there when Malcolm X was assassinated. Malcolm X was assassinated 5 blocks from where I grew up in Harlem. Malcolm X was assassinated at the Audubon Ballroom on 165th Street. I was born and raised on 160th Street, and I was born in a hospital that Malcolm X died in, okay? My dad knew Malcolm very well. He was at over 100 of his speeches, and my dad was supposed to be on stage with him that day when he was killed, but he got there after it happened. And my dad was not a part of the Nation of Islam. He wasn't religious at all, but he knew Malcolm very well. In the 60s, the FBI used to come to my dad's house every other weekend, okay? He said he used to make them lemonade. They used to come every other weekend. My dad was one of the organizers of the first Black Power conference ever that happened in Philly. It might have been like 1961, 1962. My dad was one of the original organizers of that. My dad was also he was also one of the founders of the first Afro-American Studies Department in the country at UMass Amherst. Dr. J was his student. Natalie Cole was his student. My dad is still friends with Dr. J to this day. My dad was a young professor, 27. He was kicked out of Florida A&M for being involved in the movement. So my dad didn't even graduate from college. They kicked him out for being involved in the movement because his freshman year of college was 1960. That was the year that the student sit-in started at UNC. Okay? So I was raised by a Black revolutionary. I grew up around Black revolutionaries and Black intellectuals, Black scholars, okay? My uncle, Mike Thelwell, went to college with Stokely Carmichael. Some of you may not even know, also known as Kwame Ture. My uncle wrote Stokely Carmichael's autobiography, and my dad wrote it afterward, okay? And so, like Henry Louis Gates, all these Black scholars, they all know my dad, okay? He's been on panels with them. My dad wrote the centennial edition of The Souls of Black Folks by W.E.B. Du Bois, okay? And the autobiography of Stokely Carmichael, Ready for Revolution, my dad always says is the best book written on the movement, if you really want to understand it, okay? Now, So this is what I come from. And my mom, she's a union organizer, right? My mom is a notorious union organizer. She's very well known in that world. She has been arrested several times. She fights for people's rights, right? Now, my dad, since I've been living, he's been a journalist, right? And so he wrote op-ed columns for the New York Daily News, for Emerge Magazine, for the Manchester Guardian of London, for the Village Voice. He was on a lot of roundtable discussions in TV as a kid, when I was a kid. So I grew up around this kind of thing, and all kinds of Black scholars and intellectuals were always at my house, okay? And growing up in Harlem, like if you listen to me speak, you would never hear me say the N-word. And I have a twin brother, right? He never says the N-word. And I have a video where I talk about that and how fucking ignorant it is and how stupid Black people look saying nigga this, nigga that, nigga this, nigga that all the fucking time. Because you know what? You know what niggas are? Niggas are the people that shot fucking Nipsey Hussle. Niggas exist. And to me, the definition of a nigga is Black trash, okay? That's not a term of endearment. It's not cute. It's too fucking popular. And the fact that Black people say this shit all the time in hip hop, it's one thing if you want to say it amongst your friends when you're just around Black people. That's one thing, right? But the fact that we say it every 2 seconds in hip hop songs, and people say the most ignorant shit. Like when I teach pole dance classes or whatever, and there's a room full of white girls and they listen to that same hip hop, and you listen to the unedited version while you're teaching, it's embarrassing. Because a lot of hip hop lyrics are so ignorant. People be saying shit like, I'm just a nigga, and nigga this, and I ain't gonna be nothing but a nigga. Just dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? Now, the thing is, I was raised by my dad. He will be 77 years old this year. My grandmother, my dad's mom, she died in 2015 at the age of 94. My dad's from Florida, from St. Augustine, Florida. Florida is a place where Black people were always fighting white people, always fighting back. And my grandmother raised me to carry myself a certain way. My grandmother raised my brother and I that, how we present ourselves, that white people expect us to act a fool. So don't give them that satisfaction. Don't act a fool in public. And definitely don't do that shit in front of white people because that's what they expect. So you don't want to feed into nigga stereotypes, right? Okay, so the thing is that as soon as I heard about this Nipsey Hussle thing, and even though I'm from the hood, I'm not a street girl. Like, I never dated drug dealers. I never thought that shit was cute. A lot of people say that, like, good girls like to date bad boys. No, I don't like that. I like nerds. I like intelligent men. I don't like ignorant-ass fucking hood rat dudes. There's a lot of thunder here. And I never made excuses for hood rat behavior. So the part of Harlem, I'm from Sugar Hill, right? When I was growing up, there was drugs all around me, but it was, mostly Dominicans, and I never had an issue. But in Central Harlem, where like Dipset and them are from, there was a special level of ignorance in that area. And if I had lived in that area, shit would have been different. But people there was a lot of ignorance in a lot of cities. Now, let me look at my notes. Okay, so even though I grew up in that, I was never around that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? But still, even with that being said, as soon as I heard about this Nipsey Hussle thing, I automatically thought it was some street shit, period. Now, when people think that, oh, but he was so good, everybody loved him. Everybody doesn't love everybody. Everybody has haters, okay? And what the fuck is wrong with people? Black people in particular, what is wrong with you, okay? Because how many rappers do we know that Black men get killed in the hood every fucking day because of other Black men? People complain so much about the police, and the police, they have done wrong with police brutality. But what's killing us more than the police is other Black men. I know several Black men who've been shot and killed by Black men. I don't know anybody who's been killed by a cop. But, people in my family, in the 90s, my dad used to, as a journalist, he was always writing articles about, police brutality. I grew up in a culture of people who constantly protested that stuff. In my high school, we had Police Brutality Day. Everybody walked out in all Black, including all my white teachers and everything, right? The national anthem, I never sang a national anthem. People act like that's some brand new shit. My family and the people I grew up with, we never stood up and sang no goddamn national anthem. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I grew up. I grew up around real revolutionaries. I'm not some fucking internet revolutionary who thinks I know some shit and I'm just sitting there writing this shit, because I want to say something to all of you If somebody wrote on my YouTube that people don't understand a part of the Rolling 60s, the most hated gang. Yes, he broke the chain, stopped the violence, but they got to understand everybody not for him just because he does good. Exactly. Like, come on. To act like you're so shocked. Like, dudes don't get killed in the hood every day. And let's not act like NWA's ignorant motherfucking asses didn't bring up all this gangster shit. Because you know what? In New York City, my beloved New York, there's so many reasons why I love New York, so many reasons why it's a great city. New York is a progressive city. It's not to say that violence doesn't happen. It doesn't say people don't get killed. But the level of violence that we have and the level of murders is like insignificant compared to the rest of America's cities. If you look at a list of the top 10 safest cities in the world, New York City is on the list, the only American city on the list. If you look at the top 100 most dangerous violent cities in America, New York City is not on the list, and we are the biggest city. So we're not on a list of 100 cities. That says a lot. And in recent news, when you've heard about people in New York getting murdered or attacked, it's never been shot. It's stabbed up, which is even more gangster, stabbing somebody to death. You had, a couple of situations recently where gangs drag somebody. So it's not to say we don't have violence, but all that shooting, LA is a shoot 'em up fucking town. I remember when Boys in the Hood came out as a kid. Being from New York, we were shocked and surprised and appalled seeing drive-bys. We never did no motherfucking drive-bys in New York, okay? Actually, I've heard about it since I've been grown in Queens. And again, New York is a big city. Queens has a car culture, right? The rest of New York probably stab you and hop on the train, right? We're not gun crazy like the rest of the country, and I like that about New York. Now, all these rappers, they would have named their record companies Death Row, this and murder, and all this murder. And hip hop likes to glorify gangster culture. Even living in Chicago, it's annoying because people in Chicago love to talk about some goddamn gangsters. They're always talking about what's that Italian dude? I forgot. See, I don't even care about that shit. I don't watch gangster movies. I don't give a fuck about any gangster stories, lifestyle, none of that shit. Fuck them all, okay? Because the thing is that what my dad always tells me is that when drugs started coming to Harlem, he has friends who are involved in a movement. He has a couple of friends who were involved in a movement who went to jail for killing drug dealers, okay? Because it's all that drug shit that came into the hoods that destroyed our communities. And then here come rappers wanting to rap about it like it's cute. Like recently, people have been talking about Cardi B and what Cardi B did, drugging dudes and robbing them. No, it wasn't right. She said it wasn't right. She also did not glorify that shit in any of her songs. Cardi B has never rapped about drugging and robbing men like it was cute. But how many male rappers have? How many male rappers that you guys say are the best rappers that ever existed who all they talked about was selling drugs, killing people, murdering people, like that shit was cute? And then people have a problem these days with current hip hop because current hip hop, they talk about strip clubs and they talk about doing drugs. That shit is better than talking about murdering somebody for $10. That shit is it's better than that. You know what I'm saying? Like hip hop now, what they're saying, a lot of it is less ignorant than the shit back then. But being from New York, I remember when NWA came out, we were like, what the fuck is this shit? To us, it was like NWA was ruining hip hop. First of all, they had the corny ass motherfucking jerry curls, which was never cool in New York, ever. You got clowned for that shit. They had jerry curls. They had caps. They had no shape. They had those plaid shirts buttoned up to the top button. Chucks. Fucking horrible fashion from head to toe. They were corny as fuck. And then they want to talk about fuck the police. Well, you know what? If you look like a gang member, the police probably should be questioning you. Like, yes, there are innocent black men who get harassed by the police. I know this. I have a twin brother who is 6'2". He's dark-skinned and 220 pounds. My twin brother has had issues with the police. I've had issues with the police. I almost went to trial with the NYPD in 2007, okay? I had a serious issue with the NYPD, and I always talk about how I'm going to write about it. I always said I was going to write about it when I get older, and that's coming soon. So I'm going to put it in a book. But I've had my own issues with the NYPD, okay? Everybody in my family has been arrested, several times except my brother. He's the only one, right? But I know, and I have a black father, and I have a black twin brother. And so, and when I was 9 years old, my dad was teaching my brother what to do when he gets pulled over by the police so he doesn't get shot by accident, right? So yes, the police are a problem. But another thing my dad brought to my attention is the amount of black men who die each day, week, month, year from other black men is exponentially greater than the amount of black men that died in the South when the Klan was at its height of lynching people. When the Klan was at its height of lynching black men, still, it was damn near statistically insignificant compared to the amount of black men who were killed now by other black men. But I don't see any black men. Every black man wants to claim victim, victim, victim. No black man could do any wrong. You're all victims. Bill Cosby's a fucking victim. R. Kelly's a victim. Miss One's a victim. And, the police are doing this to us. Well, like in Chicago last year, there was a dude that got shot who was armed. There was a black man in the hood in Chicago who was armed. He pulled out his gun to the police, pointed at the police, and they shot him to death. Like, what the fuck do you expect? If you pull out a gun, he actually had a gun, okay, and pointed at the police or pulled it out, you're asking to get shot then. Do that shit in Africa. Do that shit in Jamaica. Do that shit in those countries and see if you don't get shot the fuck up and nobody ever sees you again, okay? That's stupid. And then especially when you're in a fucking neighborhood where people get shot all the time. If the police didn't shoot that dude that day, who knows who the fuck he was about to shoot, okay? So the thing is that you have to look at both sides. Yes, the police can have their issues, but the police are humans too. And some of the police are working in some ignorant-ass motherfucking hoods of Baltimore, of LA, of Oakland, of Chicago, places that most of us wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be there. Now, so there's two sides to that story. And we have to think about, how are you presenting yourself? Like, when I was a teenager, my dad told my brother, listen, hip hop is huge. All these white people love hip hop. It has a huge influence on the world. My dad said when he was a kid, there were always gangsters, except when he was a kid, gangsters dressed up real gangster, that you didn't dress that way. You don't want to be associated with that. So the fact that you have all these white people in America who've never been around black people, because this country is mostly white, and they hear hip hop songs where somebody's talking about, I'm gonna shoot your mother, I'm gonna rape your wife, I'm gonna fuck your bitch. And they have on a do-rag and their pants hanging down and they dress a certain way, then white people are gonna associate that look with that ignorant shit. So if you are not about that life, then don't dress that way. And my twin brother never dressed like a motherfucking thug. He never did. Now you have some NWA. NWA look like gang members. So if you look like it, and I don't know the whole story with all of them. I saw that fucking Straight Outta Compton bullshit. I don't fucking care about their story. But I saw that movie, and I know some of them were doing stuff, some of them weren't. But if you know you're doing some shit you shouldn't be doing, you know you look like a gang member, don't start bitching when the police are fucking questioning you. Now, black people act like the police is the enemy, but who do you want right now to help solve this issue with Nipsey Hussle? Like, who do people expect to come? The police, right? Right? And, okay, let me look at my notes, because I had a whole bunch of notes that I wanted to write. Now, I was going to say that when Boys in the Hood came out, us in New York, we were disgusted and horrified. Like, are they serious? Like, first of all, why are they so violent? Like, it's pretty. You know what I'm saying? Like, the hood in LA, it's sunny. You got palm trees. People have a front yard and a backyard. They have a house and they have a car. You live in the hood in New York. You don't have a car. It's not sunny all the time. There's no motherfucking palm trees. You don't have a house. You don't have a front yard or a backyard. But meanwhile, we're not driving up and down the street shooting shit up. And being so, LA and Chicago take that gang shit way too seriously. People be generations in that shit. I remember one time being in LA, this was like a few years ago, and I had on a red and blue outfit, and I'm on the train going from Long Beach to LA. And I remember the train stopped at Compton, and I was sitting there like, wait a minute. I looked down and I realized I had on a red and blue outfit, and I was like, oh shit, am I doing something wrong? Like, should I not be wearing red and blue right now? And I almost wanted to take out my driver's license that said New York and be like, put it there. Like, I'm not from here. I'm not trying to do nothing wrong. And when I asked my LA friends after that, they said, yeah, that could have been a problem. Like, it's not as bad as it used to be, but yeah. And then in Chicago, I find out they used to have all these rules. You can't wear your hat this way, can't wear your pants this way. All this shit. Yes, guns are illegal in New York, and I'm glad. And not to say that people don't get a hold of them, but we don't have a gun culture like most of America. So All that dumb shit about you can't wear this, you can't wear that. Like, New York had gangs, but it was never like that. Okay. We had Latin Kings. I find out that Latin Kings in Chicago, Latin Kings started in Chicago, but they were violent as fucking Chicago. In New York, Latin Kings weren't violent like that. Okay. Crips and Bloods, that came to New York like when I was in high school, and I don't think it's nowhere near as serious as it is in LA. How they take that shit? They take that shit way too serious. It's 2019. That shit is stupid. Okay. Now, if you used to be involved in that type of shit, like again, I'm not connected to gang culture, but it just seems like common sense to me that if you used to be involved in gang shit, who knows what the fuck that person did when they were in that gang, and so you just leave a gang thinking that you can let go of that. But like, there's people who might still be mad at you. You know, then you got jealousy. Let's not act like people don't get killed all the time because of jealousy. Look at Selena, the Mexican singer who was killed by her fan club person. So can people stop acting fucking stupid and acting like just because you do good things for the hood that makes you invincible? And just because you're famous doesn't mean you can't get shot and killed just like everybody else. Good black men get shot and killed in the streets of the hood every single day by ignorant fucking hood rats. And when it comes to cities like Chicago, when I'm about to say, people get mad at me for saying this, but this is the only solution I see, okay? The level of ignorance that exists in cities like Chicago, New Orleans. In New Orleans, there's a level of ignorance in that city too, where you got people who got beef with somebody, and they could see that person at a Mother's Day celebration. And this has happened in New Orleans. And they want to shoot that person so bad, they open fire on a whole crowd of people. Now you get 15 fucking people that get shot, and you're trying to shoot one person. This shit happens all the time in New Orleans. There was 2 summers that I was in New Orleans in the past few years, 2 different summers when I was there, where 20 people got shot on Bourbon Street in less than a minute because of a dude trying to shoot somebody else. That's a motherfucking level of ignorance. People like that have no fucking purpose on the everybody's purpose, everybody's special. No, that's not fucking true. Some people are a waste of space. Some people are doing nothing but being a menace to society, and the asses don't need to be here. So for me, it's like, no matter how much money you throw at the hood in Chicago shit is so fucking deep and ignorant. Like, I have seen, you know, her articles and stuff. Like, I remember seeing this last year about a funeral that happened in Chicago. Because in the whole bragging on Instagram is something that people do all the time. And they definitely do it in Chicago. They kill people, they go on Instagram, they brag about it. A lot of older people think, who would do that? Well, the younger generation is fucking stupid. They're not scared of anything. And they grew up with social media, and they put that shit on there, you know? So you think, oh, how could somebody do that? They do that, okay? They do it all the time. And it's caused a lot of people to get killed. Now, there was a funeral in Chicago last year where, like, somebody rolled up to the funeral. It was like, I think it was a funeral for some Chicago rapper, and people, like 3 people or something, rolled up to the funeral, started shooting when they were coming out, and like a few people from the funeral pulled out guns and started shooting back. Like, I ain't never heard no shit like that. That the level of fucking crazy. And then when I went to look up the story to show it to somebody, I found a bunch of other stories like that in Chicago of shootouts at funerals. Okay, so tell me, what do you do with people who are that fucking ignorant? Because Chicago wants to complain, oh, Obama didn't do this for us. I get so sick of hearing people from Chicago talk about Obama, because that wasn't his city. He was nice enough to move deep into the South Side and try to do some kind of organizing, because I'm not trying to do that shit. I am way north, way out of the hood. All my Chicago friends, I have a lot of Chicago friends that live in the South Side. They know I don't fucking want to go over there. I don't like the hoods in Chicago. I haven't liked it since the first time I've come there. People who are from there, it's becoming normal. It's more normalized. I don't think they even realize how fucked up it is. I'm like, I value my life too much. I'm not trying to get shot by accident being over here, okay? Because I don't want to be over here that bad. There's nothing I want to see over here that fucking bad that I want to risk my life, okay? Because bullets fly, and bullets don't have any names. One thing I can say that, and no matter how much money, I mean, Chicago's gang problem is so bad. You know, they close down schools, and they can't even combine the schools because these motherfuckers are going to kill each other. Stupid shit. I will never defend hood rat behavior and will never defend hood rat shit at all. At fucking all. And all these people who want to say that he was killed over Sebi. No, the fuck he wasn't. Again, the reason why I want to talk about my background and how I was raised and who raised me is because my dad, you know, he was a part of COINTEL. tapes. So when all those people were recorded during the movement or the whole COINTEL, my dad was a part of that. They have all his conversations too. When I was growing up, the phone bill, the electric bill, the gas bill in my house was not in my dad's name. It wasn't in anybody in my family's name. My dad didn't have a bank account until recently. You know, he used to keep his cash on him, and he didn't trust the bank because of the shit that he had been through. And my issues with the NYPD probably have a lot to do with my dad, because people, the children of the freedom fighters of the 60s who were in the front lines, a lot of us get harassed, a lot of us have issues and problems because of that. You know, a lot of times it follows us. Not always, but a lot of times it does, you know. And I remember when I was a teenager, I remember one time at Thanksgiving, my dad said, I'm thankful to live in a country where, you know, I can speak about the government and not be dragged out my house and killed, right? And I remember when my dad turned 50, and I told you he's about to be 77 years old. When my dad turned 50, he said he never thought he was going to live to be that old, because everybody that he knows that was around him back then is dead. Yeah, they're dead, okay? Most of them. A lot of them might have gone to Africa, like Stokely, dead, you know? Malcolm, dead. Now, my dad was a part of the organization that Assata Shakur was a part of. It was the same organization. And he said that could have been any of them, because they had a code of honor back then that if the police pulled them over, they opened fire on them, period. So what happened to her could have been any of them. As an older man, he realizes that was flawed thinking, and that's not how you get justice or freedom or whatever in this country. You're not going to do it by trying to get into shootouts with the police. That's not how the shit works. Okay? So, the thing, okay, let me go to my notes. Okay, so the no snitch shit in the hood, right? Let's talk about that ignorant, dumb shit. All these black people, oh, no snitch. So nobody know? Because I've heard from people in LA that they know who did it, that people know who did it. So are y'all going to really be like, oh, I'm not going to tell? Because that's stupid. And black people sound stupid saying shit like that. You know, if somebody kills a young girl in the hood, you're not going to say something because it was a black man and you don't believe in speaking to the police? You're going to be in some no snitch shit then? How come people aren't talking about that? You know, yes, Nipsey was trying to end gang violence, but he was in a gang to begin with. All these rappers who were once in gangs and they turned themselves around, how about we don't do that shit at all? How about we just don't do that shit? And where's all the black men who are supposed to be fathers to their kids? My father was present in my life, okay? Every single day. My brother never did no dumb shit. He never got arrested. He didn't get a girl pregnant when he was 15. I never did no dumb shit. And my dad was very thankful that he raised 2 kids in Harlem in the height of the fucking crack era, and we didn't get caught up in that bullshit. People sold crack all around us. We never thought about doing that. You know what I'm saying? So when people act like because you're from the hood doesn't mean you have to be of the hood. You know what I'm saying? Just because, and I get tired of people using those excuses. Even the unfair drug laws. Yes, there were unfair drug laws where black people were going to jail longer for selling crack. But you know how you avoid that? Don't sell crack. Just don't sell crack, and then you won't have to worry about the unfair laws. And when people act like they have no other choice, that's bullshit. Okay? Now, a lot of people, when I talk about these things, people always act like I'm being negative, right? But people have these theories about life, which probably comes from religion, because I always tell you I wasn't raised religious, thank goodness. But I wasn't brainwashed by that, and I wasn't taught to follow a false prophet, which, going back to Sebi, and I'm going to do a longer video on Sebi on my other YouTube page, because I've been wanting to do a video on Sebi for a long time. Notice I don't call him Dr. Sebi because he's not a doctor, and I do believe the man was a fraud. But to just say quickly about him, Sebi wasn't that important that people are trying to kill him or Nipsey Hussle because of Sebi. Now, I told you, I was raised by black intellectuals. My dad was on a list, okay? I remember when in my early 20s, every time I got on a plane, I was randomly searched, always. You know, it was like I was being followed and shit because of my parents. My mother's in the system too, okay? My mom has been arrested several times for being at police brutality stuff. My mom is well known, okay? In the world of politics and protesting, and my mom will be 70 years old this year, okay? And my mom still organizes buses of people to go to DC for shit. My mom is still involved in political campaigns on foot, okay? My mother was sent to Alabama on a secret organizing mission that she wasn't even told. It was 3 union organizers. She wasn't even told what she was being sent there for, because the South is so anti-union, they didn't want any chance of it being leaked out. And when my mom went to approach the door, they answered the door with guns, okay? So a lot of you who are talking shit, who the fuck raised you? Were you raised around real deal political leaders or freedom fighters? Were you raised around organizers? Were you? Tell me. And tell me, what did they do? Because that's what the fuck I come from. Okay, so I know what it is to be on list. I know what it is to be being watched and scrutinized for shit and everything. Every black man who gets into some shit is not some fucking conspiracy. Now, there are lots of ways to cure diseases. Okay, I have cured incurable things in myself and clients of mine. Things that people say that's not supposed to be cured. There's a lot of ways to cure things, and there's scientific studies. Even when it comes to HIV, when it comes to all these things, cancer, there are scientific studies that document. There's no mystery like that. There's no cure for HIV. That's not true. It's just that most of you don't have a background in science. How many of you are actually going and looking up scientific studies and reading them? I bet you none of you are, but I do. And you know what? I do have a background in science. I've taken biochemistry, chemistry, organic chemistry, microbiology, physiology, nutritional biochemistry, and I know how to read studies, and I have access to them, and I had access to them when I was a graduate student at Columbia University. That's why I never became a vegan, because the research does not say that vegans live longer. It doesn't. And let's look at Sebi. He didn't make it to 90, and he was so frail. So frail. From the time I found out about him in my early 20s, he was frail. He could barely stand up. There are people in this world who are in their 90s who are stronger than Sebi, okay? If he was so healthy and if he was so strong and healthy, if he knew what the fuck, then he shouldn't have been so goddamn like he was starving to death. People say the government killed him. No, he killed himself. That's what happens when you fucking starve yourself to death, when you're on a starvation diet. Because there's no mystery about what keeps us healthy. There are people currently on the planet who are 100+ years old. What did they eat? They weren't on a Sebi diet. Every time they interview the oldest people in the world, and they say, what did you eat, whether they be in Japan, Cuba, or Brooklyn, they always say they ate bacon every day. They never say they were following Sebi's diets, okay? And in interviews, Sebi said that he never read any books. He didn't read, he didn't take this. The second that somebody says they don't read, you automatically become invalid. Whatever the fuck you're talking about becomes invalid, because you can't just make up shit, okay? You have no educational background. And Sebi wasn't trained as a traditional herbalist, you know? Traditional herbalists who are trained in the villages, who are trained in apprentice style. Traditional herbalists, anybody who knows about real herbalism, whether it be African, Native American, first of all, they're not vegans. They don't follow that silly fucking diet that he was on, okay? There's a connection between herbs and hunting even. And you cannot create a one-size-fits-all fucking herbal remedy in pill form to sell to everybody for $1,500. You know, instead of teaching people to get the herbs themselves and make what they need to make out of it. Like, I've always felt like Sebi was a fraud. I know somebody back in about 2004, 2005, who went hard for Sebi, okay? He had all his products. He went hard for him. He ended up going to Honduras to be treated by Sebi. And I remember his girl, he had a son, and his girl who I knew, she told me, well, my friend, he died in Sebi's care, but the girl that I knew, his girlfriend, the mother of his children, she told me that her husband, who was my friend, was calling her saying Sebi was trying to kill him. He was calling her these frantic calls, these weird calls, saying Sebi was trying to kill him. He was coughing up blood, and she was pregnant with their second child. And as soon as she gave birth to their daughter, she tried desperately to get to Honduras, and he died. Okay. Now, to me, and I also know somebody, I have a family friend who invested in Sebi in the beginning. So I know about him. I've never been on Sebi's bandwagon. I've never thought that he knew what the fuck he was talking about, okay? And he is not that important or that big. Most people don't know who he is. The only people that know him are a few black people, because I can't even say most black people know who he is. It's only a few hotep, internet, intellectual, fake intellectual Afrocentric people that know who Sebi is. So Sebi wasn't interfering with the larger picture and the money from the pharmaceutical companies. He wasn't, okay? And he fucking starved himself to death. He didn't even live to be that old. And he just looked so frail. There's a lot of people. When I went to Haiti 2 months after the earthquake. I saw old people in Haiti who were fucking strong. I saw old women in Haiti that were older than him that were stronger than him. And you know what? They eat pork all the time. And they don't follow his diet, okay? It's like Black people don't have common sense or critical thinking skills. And a lot of Black people are very lackluster in science knowledge to begin with. You guys believe anything. All somebody has to do is make some kind of Afrocentric name, and then you guys believe them. But if you look at Africans, I have a lot of African friends. Ask them, if you have an African friend, if you know Africans who were raised in Africa, at least until they were teenager or until they were grown. If you have African friends who are built well, you know, good bone structure, perfect eyesight, perfect teeth, all of that, ask them what they ate growing up. And none of them are going to tell you they follow Sebi's diet. And if you ask them, you know, anybody whose family members have lived to be over 100, they weren't fucking eating his diet. But Sebi couldn't even make it to 90. That's because he starved himself to death. And I will go more into depth with that on a different video. Now, no one's killing Nipsey Hussle because of fucking Sebi. Like, there are documentaries that have been made that expose a lot of shit about a lot of things. And those people are still here. And when Black people say that every Black man who tries to do good ends up getting killed, that's not true. There's plenty of Black people, Black men and women, who are doing great things in the hood and who have done great things in the hood who are still here. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people. And to me, you know, it's not smart. Most rappers, once they get money, they get the fuck out of the hood. Now, you might love the hood all you want, but to think that you're safe there is crazy. Like, you can invest in it. You can build businesses there. That doesn't mean that you got to be there all the time, because people know where to find you. And you were in Crenshaw in the fucking hood of hoods. It wasn't even like you know what I'm saying? So a lot of Black people are naive. You think that, you know, from the hood, and because you're a cool rapper, and now because you're trying to do good, that one of these little ass, ignorant ass kids won't kill you. Because there are kids that are possessed with the motherfucking devil these days who don't care about shit, okay? They don't care about their own mothers. They will shoot baby girls, babies. Forget about baby girls, baby boys. They will shoot them. So what makes you think they won't shoot you? I remember when Tupac was saying that dumb shit in an interview. People act like Tupac was so smart. I don't think Tupac was smart. I think Tupac was foolish. Tupac was trying to be something he was not. First of all, he wasn't even from the West Coast. Then he's hanging out with fucking Death Row and fucking Suge Knight and shit. Tupac wasn't from that, of that, or about that. And then he just kept talking so much. And people act like he was a genius. He wasn't a fucking genius. He might still be alive right now if he wasn't yapping off at the mouth so much and hanging around the wrong motherfuckers, okay? Trying to be something that he wasn't. And LA has that shoot 'em up culture. I remember, because they say it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. I remember being in LA some years ago, right? It was at nighttime, and I was with my Mexican friend, Pankazani, who I study with. And this is kind of a funny story, but it was scary. We were at this restaurant, and I had ordered a shish kebab, right? And to me, a shish kebab is like pieces of meat and vegetables, you know, on the wooden stick. But what he brought me looked like a penis, looked like a piece of sausage or some shit. And I was just like, I wanted a shish kebab. And I didn't think that this is what it was. I thought it was something different. And so I told, you know, I didn't really want it. And so this waiter, he was Black. He was from somewhere down south. He wasn't even from LA. He might have been from Alabama or Mississippi or something like that. Anyhow, he got really offended because I thought it was something else. I didn't want it. He starts getting all mad, like, I went to the cordon bleu and blah, 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 blah. He's flipping out. And I'm like, you know, it's common practice in America that if you order something, you don't like it, it's not what you thought it was, then you can send it back because it's not what I thought it was. And I think it's fair to think you know, I think it's fair that I thought that a shish kebab was pieces of meat and vegetables, and he brought me something that looked like a sausage, and that's not what I thought I was ordering. So this dude goes off. He wouldn't stop. So finally the owner, sorry, sorry, my shorts are too much in my crotch. Being a woman, okay. So finally the owner came out, right? And he was an Egyptian man. And he apologized for the waiter who was giving me such a hard time. And he said, don't worry about it. You know, he told me I could leave or whatever. He gave my money back. So me and Punkazani step out into the parking lot to go get in her car, and it's late at night. And I remember she said, I think he's following us. And I was like, he's following us? And she said, yeah, he got into the car. He came out and got in his car, right? Because when I left out, he was mad. And I don't know why he was mad. But he was really upset at me just because I didn't want just motherfucking shish kebab. And I wasn't being rude to him or anything. So she says, yeah, he's in the car. He's following us. And I was like, shit. And it's nighttime. There was nobody around, right? And so she's driving, and we're trying to lose him. And there wasn't even a place for us to pull up where we could feel safe. You know, it wasn't even like we could go like, oh, there's people over here. There was nobody, because LA is an early city and people wasn't out. It was desolate. And even if people were out, that don't mean people won't shoot you in front of people. And so she was talking about how, I mean, she knows a lot of people that's been shot growing up. She's from Echo Park in LA, which is now gentrified. But she told me all she did was hear gunshots. And LA is a shoot 'em up city, okay? The West Coast, you know, not just the West Coast, it could be down south. A lot of the country is like that, you know, but definitely the West Coast. Because even my dad said he never understood how the Panthers got violent in Oakland. Because he's like, Oakland is so beautiful. Like, I never understood what can make them want to take up arms and get so angry in Oakland, you know? And that's the thing about California. It's beautiful, but people be fucking on some violent shit for real. You know what I'm saying? With the Bay Area, it's not gang shit. They got their own violence, but it's not because of gangs. But they still got their own shit. In LA, you got blacks and Mexicans can't get along, Bloods and Crips, and all this motherfucking bullshit. It's 2019. There's a documentary called Rubble Kings that was on Netflix, and I think it went off of Netflix, but it was about the South Bronx in the 60s and how bad the gang shit was, right? New York's gang problem was probably worse than any city because New York has so many damn people. And it talks about how that got turned around. It shows that. Africa Bambaata's in it, Kool Herc's in it, and they tell their story, and you show how New York just decided to squash that shit overnight, like literally overnight. And then hip-hop was born right out of that shit. All the ex-gang members, now they're rap artists, they're DJs, they're MCs, and people were battling that way. Like that shit almost went away overnight. It was a cool hop in the beginning. When it came out of New York hip-hop was not on that ignorant shit. It was born out of ignorant shit, and it was a way of taking negative and turning it into positive. And then here comes the West Coast with this bullshit, right? So let's not act like the West Coast is not known for having fucking murderers, and let's not act like so much. You could say my dad was wrong about the Panthers. He wasn't wrong about the Panthers. He was a part of the organization that strategically put it together. My dad's good friend is the one who became a professor at the school in Oakland that recruited Bobby Seals and Huey Newton, because that organization had they had like their code or whatever, their pact was that no matter where they went in America, they would look for brilliant minds and establish new cells. And that's how it got started in Oakland. So my dad wasn't wrong about the Panthers. You're wrong, because who the fuck is you, and what did you do, and who the fuck raised you? You don't know the shit I know, okay? So, now, when Nipsey Hussle wrote that having enemies is a blessing. Now, this is the other thing. When people have these sayings about life, right? Like, oh, whatever you give out in the universe, you'll get back. Bullshit. That's not always true. Or people like to say shit like, oh, you attract your mirror image, and whatever you attract your mirror image. So if you attract something fucked up, you must be fucked up. Bullshit. I hate when people say that dumb shit. Black people, your brains are fucked up from church, okay? You know why? Or whatever religion you were raised in. Because religion teaches you to believe shit with no evidence, no proof, no questioning. Religion teaches you to follow a false prophet, which is why so many of you jumped on that Sebi bandwagon, okay? When just whoever got people in their family that lived to 95 plus, ask them what they ate. And then show me somebody who got to be 95 on Sebi's diet. So serious lack of common sense and critical thinking skills you people have. Yeah, so then for him to say having strong enemies is a blessing, like he wrote that. It's a blessing? No, it's not a blessing, it's a curse, because now you're dead, okay? So where's the blessing in this story? And that's the problem, that people be going off of these, oh, as long as you, I know from my own life that just being a good person is not enough to save you from destructive forces of haters. It's not. because you guys don't know my story. You know what I present here on social media. You have no idea the kind of things I've been through in my life. And I'm not a fucked up person. I don't do fucked up things to people, and I don't try to destroy their life. Everything I have done, everything I do, I have serious reasons for, and I have a good heart and good intentions. That doesn't protect you from people trying to hurt you and do shit to you. I mean, look at Native Americans. Native Americans were super peaceful. Native Americans were super welcoming. But what happened? They got slaughtered, and they're not all dead because a lot of Native Americans still here, but the culture, like Native Americans are insignificant. Black people complain about how hard it is being Black. Native Americans have it worse because they're invisible. People think they're gone. People see Native Americans, they think they're Asians or they think they're Black. You know, like people act like they don't even see Native Americans when they're everywhere. You know, they're living on reservations with no electricity. They're even more poor and own even less shit than Black people in America. But what did they do to deserve that? Did they attract their mirror image? Did they do something to deserve that? When you have kids who are abused, did they attract their mirror image? Did they put some thought out in the universe that attracted that fucked up shit to happen to them? People, I mean, it's just like church. Again, got you guys reciting stupid shit that you don't question. Use your critical thinking skills and think about how the shit doesn't make any motherfucking sense, okay? So for him, you know, like having strong enemies is a blessing. No, it wasn't a blessing. And Black people want to always talk about blessings and this is a blessing and I'm blessed and everybody wants to say they're blessed no matter how fucked up they are. It's like, for real, are you really blessed or are you cursed? Because some people are cursed. Everybody's not blessed and everything is not a blessing. And that includes kids. Not all kids are a blessing. Some kids are a motherfucking curse to your life, okay? So, and the youth today, they don't respect anything. The youth today, like, they just don't. I'm looking at people's comments. Yeah. The youth today, they're not scared of anything. They don't respect anything. And to me, there's nothing scarier than kids who don't care about anything. There's nothing worse than kids who don't fear shit. Kids are supposed to be afraid of something. So you have all these parents. I speak to my school teacher friends. Like, a lot of Black parents nowadays are parenting their kids like white people. They're not disciplining them enough. They think, oh, spanking is bad. Well, spanking kids need to be spanked. I don't. I think that there are kids who can go their whole life and be good kids and they don't need to be spanked. But on the flip side, we do know that spanking has worked because there's several civilizations and generations in Africa, in Asia, and in Black America where people were spanked and they grew up to be good, law-abiding citizens who respected people. Nowadays, you know, you got kids who need to be spanked and need to be choked the fuck out. And people are like, oh, no. You got kids coming to school beating up teachers and shit. You know, when my parents, oh, you talking about Tommy Sotomayor? Oh, I have a whole story about that dude. Yeah. I forgot. See, that's why a lot of times I don't read the comments because when I'm talking and I read the comments, I forget what I'm saying. So I forgot. What was I just saying? Oh, the youth needing to be afraid of something, right? Is that what I was talking about? I don't know. I forgot. So maybe I'll come back to it. Yeah, and hip hop glorifies it. Like I was saying, hip hop glorifies this gangster shit. Hip hop glorifies gangsters. Hip hop glorifies shooting people. You see music videos of people that are pointing guns at the camera constantly. I've never thought that was cute. I never thought that shit was cute. I'm like, why? How many people have died from senseless gun violence? You know what I'm saying? And then you want to be in a video like shit's cute. And we know that hip hop is the most influential art form that exists. We as Afro-Americans have a lot of power because the whole world is into hip hop. There's whole sub-genres of hip hop in Africa, in the Caribbean, in Asia. Well, they have their own shit and they are following us and they're saying nigga this, nigga that. You got Africans, Asians, everybody's saying nigga. And it's disgusting. And again, I was raised by freedom fighters and people who fought to change those things. So for me, I feel a certain kind of way because that was my family, okay? I come from people who risk their lives to make it better. I come from people that risk their lives so that other Black people from the Black world, from Africa and the Caribbean could come to this country because a lot of people don't know that the laws in the United States was only allowing white immigrants in until a certain group of Afro-Americans fought to change that. So that's why I take offense when Africans and Caribbeans come here and talk shit about Black Americans. I take offense when I hear Black people running around saying nigga this, nigga that, nigga this, nigga that every 2 motherfucking seconds. I want to be like, who the fuck raised you? You know what I'm saying? Who raised you and what did they do? Because I rarely meet people. Most Black people during the civil rights movement weren't doing shit. Most Black people were not. Most Black people I know who are my dad's age weren't doing anything during that time. Okay? So, like, when you have that in your fucking lineage, it's a whole different story. And so that's why I move different. I think different. I know different. And I know better. Right? Okay, I made all these points. Black men kill more Black men than the police. Yes, I said that. Okay. Okay, I had a whole bunch of notes I wanted to say. I didn't want to forget. This generation looks to celebrities for leadership. That's a problem. My dad talks about this all the time. He's like, when he was a kid, nobody was looking to no goddamn singers or no actors or no shit for leadership. They had real leaders. They had real leaders. And that's the problem with people today. They're looking at rappers and stuff as leaders for their leaders. They're not. You know, they play a role and they can do great things. But enough of us these days don't fucking read, okay? Most of you, the most that you read is memes on the internet, okay? You need to pick up scholarly text. You need to learn some shit and you need to read some shit. And I'm not talking about some shit that Brother Raheem and them on the corner of 125th Street wrote, who also are fucking street intellectuals and don't know shit. And if you want to deal with people's bodies and you want to deal with health, because as a healthcare practitioner, I take what I tell people very seriously. I've never been on Sebi's bandwagon. When I have looked at his supplements, because I do have a background in science, so I can look at supplements and decipher them, and I always thought it was bullshit. Now, it's hard to say that he maybe hasn't cured some people, even though that's questionable. But it's not to say that. But the same thing is, there's a lot of people who've been cured of things, and there are civilizations that never had these diseases. Like 150 years ago, we didn't have a problem with cancer and heart disease and all these things. So, and there's countries right now in the world that don't have that problem. Japan, the Okinawan Japan, the French don't have an obesity problem or a cancer problem or a heart disease problem. And the French aren't following Sebi's diet, okay? Now, there are men in Africa, okay, who are in their 80s who are strong and still doing physical work. There are men here in America who are in their 80s who are strong and still doing physical work. Sebi was, emaciated. That's not the body of somebody who's healthy and has vitality. He had no glow, okay? When your chi is strong and you're healthy, you have a glow. Sebi never talked about fermented foods. I'm gonna do a whole nother video on him. I've been wanting to do it for years, but I just never got around to it because it's more important shit. But I'm gonna do a whole nother video on him because that shit is some bullshit. So, and Love and Hip Hop Miami. I wanted to do a YouTube video about this before because I do watch all the Love and Hip Hops. Love and Hip Hop LA, New York, Hollywood, Miami. Yeah. I watch all of them, right? And people act like reality shows are all negative and it's all bullshit. But there are things that a lot of good lessons on them. And so Love and Hip Hop Miami, I really respect them because they did an episode maybe a couple of weeks ago. I've been in Colombia for like 2 weeks now, so I haven't seen any TV. But they did an episode a couple of weeks ago where there was one particular rapper on that show. I forget what his name is. But he got chased down by the police in an unmarked car. And it caused him to get into this accident. It became this big thing. And he was saying that he didn't know it was the police because they didn't have sirens and they were in an unmarked car. And it reactivated his PTSD because he had a situation in the past where a car was following him and they followed him onto the highway and shot up his car. And he had been shot at twice and shot several times. So he had PTSD because of it. And so he's talking about this and he decided to have this like event, like for everybody, all the cast members on Love and Hip Hop Miami to talk about, it was like a vigil to kind of talk about gun violence and ending gun violence. Now, every single person on Love and Hip Hop Miami has either been shot themselves or has brothers brothers and people real close to them, usually brothers that were murdered by gun violence. Trina, her brother was shot and murdered. He wasn't even on no street shit, okay? Good dude. He was shot and murdered. Then Trick Daddy had, I think, a brother who was shot and killed when he was in jail. And Trick Daddy said if he wasn't in jail, he would have tried to go and kill that person. You know, he's like, it's a good thing he was in jail because that's what he wanted to do. There's a girl on Love and Hip Hop Miami who's from Chicago. She was shot 3 times in Chicago in a car, okay? And she was in a relationship with a dude named Gunplay. Okay, his name was Gunplay. And I think he's been shot, So everybody, then there's another Trick Daddy's beautiful wife who he went and, his Trick Daddy's crazy ass wouldn't let this woman out of a marriage. She had one brother that was shot and killed, right? And then she had another brother who was shot and is paralyzed. And he was not into street shit. He was just sitting at a red light in Miami and his car got shot up. And he got shot. So like everybody on that show was a victim of gun violence. And that was a very, 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 very good show because they really had a real conversation about it. And even somebody like Trick Daddy was saying, we need to teach the youth that these guns ain't cool. Like this shit's not cool, and they were all saying that. And I was like, wow, to see a bunch of rappers say that shit because everybody wants to glorify the shit. People want to name their record labels off of murder something, murder, 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 gun, gun, guns. They want to get in the video and wave around guns and then talk about who they're going to shoot. That shit's not cute to me. You know what I'm saying? It's not cute. And people love to watch some goddamn gangster movies. I have never seen Pablo Escobar shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to. Somebody said Love and Hip Hop kills brain cells. No. Watching shit about Pablo Escobar and Tony Montana and all these fucking dumbass gangster people, that's a waste of brain cells. That shit's not important. On Love and Hip Hop, sometimes there are very good discussions that happen. And same thing with Atlanta Housewives. You have really important conversations that happen on those shows. And to sit there and glorify all that shit like it's cute, it's not cool. So to me, the lessons that can be learned from this situation, and I would bet anybody money, because all the people who think that he was killed because of Sebi, you guys are stupid, okay? Because first of all, I know people in LA who've said that the streets in LA knew who did it, okay? You had the game blaming the streets because of it. But it's like, what do you guys expect? Like, why does everybody want to cry now when it's your friend? But yet all this time you've been rapping about who you're going to kill and who you killed. I never understood that either about gangsters. Like the little bit of gangster movies I did see, they would kill all these people. And then when their friend or their brother or their mother got killed, then they want to cry like a baby. It's like, don't you realize that the people that you've killed also is somebody's mother, somebody's brother, somebody's father? Which I didn't give a fuck. Now, the lessons, that I feel like can be learned from this is just because you're saying that bad shit can't happen to you, okay? People act like there's some unwritten rule that if you're a good person and you're protected from bad shit from happening to you. Totally false. Bad shit can definitely, in fact, I feel like bad shit happens to good people even more than bad people because there's a lot of evil people who seem to live for motherfucking ever, like Trump. And then somebody said, why did Zimmerman, why is he still alive? You know why? Because ignorant ass black thugs in the hood, instead of them going and killing somebody like Zimmerman, they kill other black men. Stupid shit. And then you think it's cool. Then the blessings thing. This is what I always say at New Year's, right? Every New Year's, people are like, oh, Happy New Year. This year's going to be better than last year, blah, 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 blah. People are so happy. And I've always said the Happy New Year thing doesn't make sense to me because you don't know if this year's going to be better or worse than last year. If you could see into the future and see what's in store for you for this year, you might not be saying Happy New Year at all. You might be terrified of what's to come because in the beginning of 2019, Nipsey Hussle and Lauren London were posting, oh, it's going to be the best year ever. And he's dead now. Okay. So all the things that people tell me like as being so negative, no, I'm realistic. I have critical thinking skills and I think for myself. I don't jump on bandwagons. And I have serious reasons for all the things that I think and believe. Well, people who are on my IG Live, the thing is about to end in 1 minute and 28 seconds. Is counting down. So when IG Live, once it ends, I'm almost done with this conversation anyway. You can catch it on my YouTube page, The Renaissance Amazon, because I'm recording it in 2 places. And the other thing is that we can learn is using hip hop as a bigger platform. Us here in America, black people in America, we have an influence over the world with our music. And if we know that our music is that powerful, why are we using it to spread ignorant shit? Calling women bitches all the time, being mad disrespectful, nigga this, nigga that, nigga this, nigga that. Oh, I sold crack because I need to feed my daughter and I'm going to shoot this person in the hood. I'm going to rape them. I'm going to fuck your girl. All this ignorant shit. How come we don't change that? Then maybe less things like this would happen. Because you can't rap about this shit, and then when it happens, act like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Y'all motherfuckers are the ones that rap about that shit. Like, I didn't listen to Nipsey Hussle's music. I knew who he was because I remember seeing an interview with him on The Breakfast Club, and that's how I kind of found out about him, and I liked his swag and what he was about. But I really honestly never listened to his music, even though I've heard that he's really talented, and I've heard that across the board, and I will listen to his music. But I do know that the game and all those people, that's what they rap about, some gangster shit. So that's all I'm going to say for now. I think I said everything I want to say. And let's see what happens. Let's see what comes out of this. So I'll bet money to any of you people who swear it's Sebi. I'll bet you money that that's not what it is. But I know none of you guys are about that life. Hold on a minute. Let me share this video. Okay. I shared it on my IG. So if you follow me on IG, if you don't follow me on IG, you can find me at the_Renaissance_Amazon_81. Yeah, somebody said, oh, this came out in the news. Okay, someone said, this came out in the news. The police said it was somebody he knew. Yeah, you should see how many people attacked me on Instagram and YouTube for saying, I immediately said, this is some street shit. And like I told you, I don't even pay attention to street shit. You know what I'm saying? But I automatically knew that. It's common sense. And you know what I'm going to brag about? I'm going to brag about the fact that I'm smart. So some people try to play me. You think I'm not smart? I'm smarter than you. Okay. So how about that? So may Nipsey rest in peace as best he can. But I'm sure that he is going to have a hard time doing that. Seeing his children and his beautiful woman that he's left behind for some dumb shit in a life that was so incomplete. So what I hope that we can learn from this is that we need to stop with glorifying ignorant bullshit and that these gangs ain't cool and people need to stop acting like there's a good reason to join a gang. All that shit is bullshit and it's destructive, okay? And now has come back to kill somebody who's so loved and was doing so well. So why did that happen? People say there's a lesson to be learned in everything. So what are the lessons to be learned in this situation? And I will be doing a video on Sebi probably tomorrow. I want to do it today, but I have some work to finish. I need to get to my work. Okay, so look on my page, The Body Scientist 81, and you'll see my video on Sebi tomorrow.